Okay, so I'm starting the recording right now. Um, Usually when I do the shows, they last around an hour. Sometimes they get longer. Sometimes they go on to like an hour and a half. But it just goes how it goes, and then you know, flow with it.
No problem. We'll rock it out.
Mm-hmm. So what do you want to talk about?
Well, did you get all the pictures and stuff I've sent you? I didn't know what your format was in asking questions, or if you just want to free flow this.
Free flow is
We
better. Free flow is better. I don't have like a thing. I bring people on and kind of give them space to explore their own past and whatnot and the things that they've been involved with, and then I interject as I want. But
okay.
I'm very open as far as how the thing happens. Doesn't really matter.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, and thanks for the opportunity of bringing me on.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I share a lot in common with the guests that you interview and they talk on your show. We're all in the same community. Um, whether we've been through the programs and projects, um, whether we're helpers and guides or teachers or healers, we're all sharing this community. So, I'm really grateful to be on your show. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
It's good. It is.
I,
It's very diverse. It once you like first dip your toe into the pool that is like the actual reality, then it's it's so multifaceted. It's impossible to like even situate very well. It's just like you have to upload a tons of information, and then after all of that, feel around and try and see where you're at within the midst of it. But
and
everyone,
that can be really life shattering to a lot of people, right? When
yeah,
they discover reality is an illusion and more of the invisible is the reality and more of the supernatural and the tough taboo topics are the reality. So that's really shattering, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
where do people go with that? What do they do with that? So, my background is so diversified in all of those invisible and those taboo, ugly subjects that it brought me into a lifetime quest of self healing. And then, showing people how to get through um, trauma and life shattering, altering, events that take place within themselves and not to be victimized, how to become survivors and thrivers.
mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if you want me to talk a little bit about my background. I can't really give specific details because I've made deals to keep my life protected.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, share. Feel free to share what you would like to, what you are able to. You can do a general, life overview if you like, or however you feel.
I give a brief synopsis. I was born in the mid 60s and um, involved in a pharmaceutical company with some of the paperclip scientists, a
Mm.
big corporation
Mm-hmm.
that later turned into Brookhaven. I was very similarly used to the Netflix series Stranger Things, like the character 11,
Mm-hmm.
misused for my supernatural abilities. Um, and ha- Throughout a lifetime of sexual abuse, trauma on Montauk, not even being aware there were boys programs. I was involved in a girls division, very similar to that Netflix show. So between that, growing up as a sort of sexual abuse slave in the gymnastics career and with neighbors and teachers and the community of Masons around me, uh, moved me into the Pittsburgh area where I was used at the Atticus Institute. Um, and My family's heritage comes from Austria, where mind control MK was really being developed way back during World War II. Um, so I don't talk a lot about that either. but I broke a lot of programming. You know, I got involved with RCA Records. I got handled again. I ended up doing work in the Gulf War and the Desert War with the handler over in Brussels. I broke programming in that. And then I just really started to teach the self-healing on the MySpace and became like this renowned psychic soul counselor that ran a, you know, free 24/7 hotline, counseled and just helped people, anything from, you know, suicide, trauma, sexual abuse, alien abduction, you know, hybridization, all of these weird topics, you know, the supernatural, shadow people, lucid, you know, frozen dreams, demons. And that was just kind of like my normal life growing up, you know, as a kid, a toddler. So I just kind of learned everything I could about all of this phenomenon and really have sought self-healing, believing it was the paradigm all the way back when New Age was being so, you know, blown in your face. And I was fighting against New Age, even trying it and, you know, finding, you know, this isn't working, folks. It's just another indoctrinated religion. You know, let's self do this. It's the paradigm for the millennium coming up. So I think people are finally catching on to this now in this Aquarian age we're, you know, approaching or in, or however you want to look at it. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I took a year off. I had a really, really dark year. I took advantage of the darkness. I healed through the darkness.
In the hospital, right?
Pardon?
You were in the
I'm
hospital,
having a hard time hearing you. Pardon me. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hope I didn't. I hope you weren't trying to interrupt me because I couldn't hear.
No. I was interrupting you, but I wasn't trying to be mean. Can you hear me now? Is that okay?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, I was just wanting to ask you, as far as growing up and being with, involved in all of these various programs and whatnot, was there any talking with your own family, or was it all hush-hush, you know, hiding everything type of a way?
I tried to go to my mother numerous times, even right till today, you know, still trying to talk to her about it, but I get silenced down. You know, the proverbial story, you know, it never happened, you're crazy. Right. You know, being a counselor and certified in all these different types of fields, everything from sexual abuse to drug abuse to suicide, you know, these are common responses of parents, you know. They may very well be cascaded themselves, you know. They may very well be cascaded and not have recall. They may very well know and have so much guilt that they'll still blame, you know, the victim. They may be, you know, extremely abusive family members. They may have narcissism to them. And a lot of victims of abuse or narcissistic families, you know, they grow up and they choose abusive narcissistic partners or abusive narcissistic friends. And we're not well, you know, we're not well emotionally. We're low self-worth. You know, we think that's normal, you know, in so many ways, but in the back of your mind, you know, this is not, you know, you shouldn't be treated like this. So the abusee ends up, you know, really going into so many different phases. I mean, they could become suicidal, depressed, enraged, you know, trying to prove themselves over and over, trying to buy people's love, trying to beg for acceptance, or, you know, become abusive themselves. And, you know, I've been in all of those areas, but except stepping into narcissism, you know, I never would maliciously harm someone, you know. There's just too much empathy inside an abused individual. Most, I'd have to say 99.9% of program survivors are highly developed in their supernatural abilities with extreme empathy. But there are a portion, I can't really give a true statistic. I have to take the 99.9% back. There's a percentage that are taken into these programs because they are empty narcissists themselves. And those are the really dangerous, super soldiers or assassins or whatever. I want to be really careful of what I say on air. And they end up indoctrinated as, handlers or agents or, high positionary people. They go beyond their call of duty. Let's just put it that way. That makes sense so far?
Yeah. Would you say there are any individuals that are simply like automatons? They're simply sort of being controlled by another human some way, somehow, and it is having nothing internally whatsoever. Like no, whatever you call the life force or spark or something like that.
Sadly, yes. I mean, there's many labels for them, right? We've heard many, many different labels. We've heard the Borg. We've heard the transhuman. We've heard the clone. We've heard the oversouled. There's many different labels, and they all have different definitions. They truly do. But you are dealing with that same type of identity. There's no empathy. There's no ability to self-recognize wrongdoing. There's no apology. There's really no care for the emotional, mental, or even physical murder of the individual. Much like targeted individuals go through with gaslighters or gang stalking, and it's really hard on an empath. Many of us, we get so broken down. We really, all of our lives, we're in like defense mode. We're in protection mode. We're in like trying to prove ourselves. You're wrong mode. And we end up getting so enraged that we look crazy. And that's where, this has been a lifetime self-analytical look at what roots need to be healed. And not only myself, but how to heal somebody else, how to teach self-healing for somebody else, to get to these root things so we can really heal and thrive through it. Not only thrive through it, Gary, but there's like these 5 foundations I teach, and I've recently added more to them through this 3 near-death experience year I had in 2018. And
3 of them?
3 in 1 year. 5 altogether in my lifetime, where doctors and ambulance crews are like working to pump my heart again. So 5 altogether. Right. 3 this year.
Wow.
The foundations I teach change the energy, not only around you but in you. We work with mentalism, we work with emotions, we work with these weaknesses and make them strengths. And we learn to deprogram and reprogram. I mean, it's a multitude of things, everything from using, implementing, developing, enhancing your supernatural abilities, getting that connection with your divine force, like the force with, may the force be with you kind of thing, connecting with that force in you.
Yeah.
I teach soul contract, rewriting, all that kind of stuff, dream time training, soul contract work, soul healing, soul purpose, deprogramming, reprogramming, modules on, sexual abuse recovery, narcissistic abuse recovery, love bite victim recovery, dream psychology. I use all of the, 7 principles, the 7 Hermetic laws, and I teach energy defense as well. I've become a very defensive person in the process. So that's one of the things I'm personally healing through, is I've been teaching self-defense for so long, I have to heal my own defensiveness, so it's a constant lifetime journey. And I want people to know that no matter whom you go to, as a teacher, a guide, a healer, do not go to anyone who claims they're perfect or isn't writing, you know, their problems out or telling their problems to the world, because it just doesn't exist. It will have lifetime problems, and it hurts. We're still in a human skin, but how do we find the solution through it? Let's talk about it. Let's be real. Let's not pretend that we're perfect healers or teachers. You know, let's admit we can all be mind controlled. Let's all admit we could be demonically attached. Let's all admit we could lose our shit. Let's all admit we've, you know, done wrong things. But let's show people how we persevered, triumphed, and changed that in ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. For me personally, after all the things that I've personally been through, it's there's not an end to sort of the work that you have to do, the self work. But as you clear these energies out within yourself, then you're just simply naturally attuned to the present moment, and attacks, whether self-enhanced or not, because we do enhance everything that happens, they're more normal, and it's not so much of a big deal, even though 5 years ago it might have almost killed you or put you into, you know, a seizure.
Because you stepped out of victim mode, right? You've stepped out of victim mode. You have the awareness. You maybe slip back into victim mode for a few minutes, where maybe 5 years ago it would have ruined you for months, or, you know, made you lose sleep. So your frequencies are changing. Not only that, Gary, but I even bring physiology into this, you know, anatomical physiology into the foundations, because when your frequencies change, your physical body changes, your cells change, your DNA changes, your mitochondrial changes, you're getting back to your soul code genetics, you're reintegrating your past lives, you're reintegrating your multi-dimensional lives, and you're trying to like contain it all in this, you know, flesh suit here in a matrix, you know, firmament, where you're trying, you know, you're living in the invisible is real, and you know, the couch you're sitting on is less real than what you can't see.
Right.
It's mind blowing.
That's the hard part. Like, that's, you know, that's the initial ego death, is realizing directly. You're not even like, you're shown directly that the whole construct is like a paper show or something, it's like a house of cards. It's literally a house of cards. But then that's what your senses are seeing. That's what your eyeballs are seeing. You're hearing sounds, you're hearing noises, so it's like this world is real. And then that, you know, has always been utilized to corral the energetic, you know, loosh or whatever the thing, the archontic things are trying to steal. That kind of thing happens, but you don't realize it because you're always constantly told to, you know, do the thing, like get a job, get retired, get whatever. It's like the simplest, it's a stupid easy like farming program, but once you come out of it, you see that there's actually more depth to it. It's not just that.
Yeah, you know, I make statistics with clients that come through. You know, it starts with 3 people saying identical things, and then if there's 10 people, I really start to listen, and then I start taking statistics and percentages through however many people I speak to through the year. I'll develop a statistic. I have to say that probably 100% of every person I've ever spoken to has had this fear illusion of money, right? Money and worth.
Yep.
And this is where, and you know, like this victim mentality. And believe me, I've been stuck there on and off, you know, and if you're not stuck there on and off, you're never going to grow. You know, you have to feel victimized to be survivor. And it's a sad way to put it, but there will come a day where you don't have to feel victimized anymore. But it is the way to grow through self-healing, if you can step out of the victimhood. And what it all begins with me, my main foundation is working with energy. If you brush your teeth every day, you wash your food, you wash your dishes, you wash your clothes, you clean your house, you know, you clean your environment, why aren't you cleaning your energy?
Mm-hmm.
There are very many different forms of energy in a human being. There's internal energy. These are your thoughts, your thought patterns, the thought chatter, your focus, what you're focusing or obsessing on. These are your fears, your worries, your anxieties, aka money, worth. I don't have value, whatever, because I don't have money or a purpose. These are your weaknesses, your emotions, and your reactions and your behavior. Like, you know, me being an abused person all my life, having to defend myself and grow up by myself, I became like, very defensive of who I am. That's one of my weaknesses, that I still work on to this day.
Yeah.
These are all loose stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the fourth part of internal energy are something called destiny blocks. How you block yourself, your career, your destiny. They could be anything from timestamps, what I call the fib of no chi, the lie of no energy. Black magic, anything that you're
You pulled that from
blocking your
Fibonacci?
destiny with. Did you say something?
I was just saying you pulled that from the Fibonacci, right?
Fib of no chi, yeah. But there
That's
is
good.
we know with energy and magnetics, there's a polarity, right? There's a law of polarity. There's
Mm-hmm.
negative and positive. It doesn't work without one or without the other.
Right.
So keep this in mind. This is both positive and negative. This is all loose stuff. Loose can work against you, and then you can work the loose, for you and for the collective. Now, there's also something called external energy. These are people around you. These are psychic vampires. These are people that piss you off. These are people that steal your energy. These are people that don't know how to apologize. These are, assholes. These are
Mm-hmm.
road ragers. These are verbally, fighting people or some, narcissists, whatever. Then there's the places we visit, Gary. We visit hospitals, doctors, grocery stores, organizations. We go to groups that they might be a great group of mind-liked people, heart-like people, but all these people have attachments to them and their own internal energy they're dealing with and attachments. Demonic entities, ET energies, invisible terrestrial entities, dead loved ones, people that channel in mediumship, bad dreams. These are all external energy that you could be picking up as your human being. So my first thing to teach everyone is, if you're cleaning your teeth, your hair, your food, your children, your house, why aren't you cleaning yourself? Why aren't you cleaning your energy and magnetics? So that is like my very first foundation. Oh, and third part of energy is all the machinery around us. Wi-Fi, towers, cells, EMPs, ELFs, computers, these hum towers, these invisible fiber that's going on, the even nuclear radiating, any smart meters. These are all the things we've got to clean off of us and be disciplined every day so we can become an alchemist in ourselves and work with our mentalism, work with our emotional reactions, work with that self-healing, find those root causes. It's not just ripping cords anymore or cleaning your chakras. This is the foundation, man, that people are missing. And when you get a newly awakened individual with zero knowledge, like these are normal people. They might be, some Wall Street person who's known Wall Street all his life and, finally gets awakened. What do you do with all this hardcore truth? It's dark.
Mm-hmm.
It's the hopeless feeling. And then they're all laden with all these YouTube videos that they've watched with symbology and hexing and, whatever you're learning about Dracos or oversouling or looshing. Those are attachments, energetic, magnetic attachments. They don't have one iota or clue that they need foundations to protect themselves so they stay healthy and don't break.
Right.
I've most awakened people, when they newly awake, they find themselves in hopelessness, in despair. and, really give up on the world and don't even see the beauty. The beauty's gone. And I want to help people with that.
Yeah, it's touchy. The whole thing is just touchy, and recently I've had situations where it's like when you know what's going on, then you become more responsible for how you interact with people because
Yeah.
because you can see everything. You know where somebody's at just by one, sentence that they speak. And then once you have that, then you have the responsibility to guide them, likely without them having any clue what's going on, and possibly with them feeling some sort of resentment that they can't pinpoint why. So it is a touchy situation, but those of us who are up and past the initial thing and have that understanding, have the energetic inner energetic understanding, we have the responsibility for sort of providing space for people who are beginning to come up out of it.
And we fall down a little bit too, even with the inner standing or the energetic. I love the energetic understanding. That's beautiful. We fall down a little bit too because, we get attacked by Christians. We get attacked by cognitive dissidents. We get attacked by, people that are still so mind controlled from the programs. And it can be simple, normal programming. Nothing is really simple, of course, but, TV programming, sexual programming that has, nothing to do with monarch, sex slave. This is just normal society. So you're really getting, real attacks psychically, real hard. And we are still part human here, Gary. So even the best of the best don't always react the best. But we will always go back and say, hey, let me try to, explain this a little bit better. I don't want there to be, negativity between us, or you want to apologize because they're, that's just the kind of people we are, right? We awakened. We real awakened people. Yeah. We're not perfect, but we will go back and try. If somebody's hurt, we will try to make it better. Or if we're cursed or something by a Christian, we'll always, we don't retaliate like that. It's the people closest to us that we retaliate to if we're still, healing core issues. And I want to make it really clear to everybody of your listeners that there is no one on this planet, unless you go to a sage up in the Himalayas or, the Shaolin monks and go live with them, where you will eradicate that the rest of your life and you'll live as a master. Mm-hmm. But I can guarantee none of us in our community are masters. We know our skills, we know our teachings, we know how to show self-healing or do, what we do best. And we're still, we still fault.
Yep.
We fault.
Yep.
And it takes bravery and strength to say, hey, you know what? I faltered. I'm really sorry. But it also takes strength to say, I faltered. I'm not going to prove myself to you anymore. You're too abusive. Identify, why you lost your shit, and then work on that part of yourself that goes, real deep back. Mm-hmm. It could have been something somebody said to you or mistreated you. And again, working with victims of abuse, I originally started probably 18 years ago now. I took a year off, but I did it for free for so most of my career. I did it all for free. I never wanted anyone to have to do it alone like I did. I mean, yeah. I didn't have computers in my age. I didn't have access to the books I have now. I didn't have support around me. So it really fueled me to have this empathic weeping for people, to just give my services, to just help them because they had no one. I've worked with people that have never been told one nice thing about themselves. I've never heard kindness. um, that have so much fear or wonder why they're still being abused. And believe me, I've even gotten myself in 3 really abusive marriages. No, really abusive. So I'm not gonna pretend that this isn't a lifelong healing. But these changes when they happen, you go through these real dark, what people label dark night of the soul. Some people purposefully go into darkness. I purposefully went into it starting July 6th of 2017 because I had been experiencing severe insomnia that didn't leave up until August of this year. I mean, it was really intense, so I took advantage of the darkness at the time, and I felt hatred for the first time in my life, and it was really ugly, really, really ugly, but I faced it, and I healed it, and I healed a lot of the reasons why I kept going back to, begging for love from husbands or mothers, and realized, these are layers. You think you've healed, but there's little tiny layers you peel back from an onion, right? Or an artichoke, or even certain types of nature, even a snake sheds over and over. There's layers and layers and layers. Like with soul contract work, there's so many layers. You think you healed one part of the contract, but you missed out the 5 other points that had to do with the one part of the contract. So it's layer work. The strongest of strong, the intelligent of the intelligence, we're not infallible, folks. So I want to tell people, sometimes I tell my stories online. I won't mention names. I won't cut anybody down, but I will tell you the pain I'm going through or what I'm suffering, so I can show you the solution out, how I got out, or what I saw, or what I, divinity showed me and revealed to me. And that's the beauty of the unseen, the beauty of the self-healing,
Yeah, it is a lot of layers. And you have to go into it. If you don't go into it, then you're setting yourself up for being with that energy on sort of the losing end of it. And you will be healed that way too, but
the universe will make you heal through it one way or the other.
Yeah, it just takes more time, like you might have people going the same loop for their entire lives, and then on the deathbed, like, they get some weird little thing that happens, and they're just like, all of a sudden it's done, and nobody could see it coming or whatever, and there's just there's no way you can control that.
I've witnessed the most horrible people on their deathbed, beg for forgiveness. Have that apology finally come. I've also witnessed people on their deathbed that have been beautiful souls too, and witnessed, the beauty of the soul, feeling the soul in the room. So,
yeah.
But listen, I mean, astrology plays a big role in this too, because these planets are astrophysiology, not just astrotheology with the scribes or the Bibles or the Korans or the religious books or the hidden text. Astrology plays a massive role inside your organs and your physiology. So, you can be feeling great while Jupiter's in Sagittarius. Like yesterday, you could feel great and grandiose, and, you're getting all these great ideas, and you're, feeling great. And then today, Saturn's in Sag, and you're like doubting everything. But Saturn will be like, what you thought of yesterday was a little too grandiose. Step down, biatch, I'm straightening your ass out today.
Yeah, it changes so fast, and like, I mean, at least how I've approached it, I took to the method of like, because I went into all the information, I went into the studying and looking the stuff up and correlating all the points and this and that, the rabbit holes and stuff, and at some point I was just like, I just dumped all of it and kind of like, I don't even know how to say it, but I just opened myself up to, I'm going to deal with what comes without having any clue where it's coming from or how it's coming from.
Oh, that's called the Tao. That's called being in the
Yeah,
Tao. That's a
yeah.
beautiful place.
That's kind of where I've been at for these last few years. Without, I still have the understanding, and I still, I dabble a bit here and there with the constructs and the information and whatnot. And when people talk with me, then of course it all reveals itself again through the speech. But I don't go specifically into sort of deprogramming. Like, I just stay present and let it happen. Try not to
Well,
let it
that's
happen too crazy.
a really masterful thing to do and a healthy thing to do for yourself. For about a good year, probably 2017, I was doing the rabbit hole thing and posting about child pedophilia and Pizzagate and Elsagate and AI, every heavy duty topic you could imagine. And these are things I've personally advocated in locally, picked up phones and tried to change, local government and state government's mind, to help bring laws in. So, I mean, I've been active on that end, but I was finding myself posting this real negative, it's truth, it's negative, it's not pretty, but the rabbit hole wasn't helping. And all it was doing was circulating and going viral around Facebook and probably inducing so much negativity and hopelessness in the collective that, this year and a half of healing through the darkness really took me into a different perspective with the 3 near-death experiences. And, I'd rather open portal holes than go down rabbit holes now.
Yeah, it's a big difference. Because the rabbit holes, they're almost like they're titillating. There's an excitement with learning. It's learning actual knowledge. Like, it's not like it's fake. It's actually what's going on as far as anything is actual. But it still puts you into something that is subjectively, personally, mentally segmented from every other human being. They're going to have it their own way. And you're separating yourself by doing the rabbit hole thing, and then you may not be able to connect with someone on the simple human level, right?
On a simple face-to-face human interaction,
because your rabbit holes aren't matching up properly, and they're never going to match up properly.
Well, there's a great example. At least certain of us can still be able to have that. Like when we go out and stand in a grocery line, we can make beautiful, simple conversation with the person standing in line waiting with you. You don't have to talk about rabbit hole stuff. You can still have that. And I don't want to say separate, nothing separate, but you can still have that beautiful interaction and honor the space of your brother and sister, stranger person, right?
Yep.
And that's something I've always had. That's probably what saved me through all of this tumultuous abuse. Just this love for people.
Just seeing somebody hold a door for somebody else. Like, it's as simple as that,
Yeah. Yeah, and thank them. Or, you see a lovely mother, struggling with her groceries. You go help pick them up for her and put them in her car. Or, you compliment someone. Oh my God, you have such beautiful eyes. Or you pay for, somebody's lunch in back of you. Those are things that just I will never, ever stop doing. And if there's an opportunity that you feel the energy, because, being so born supernatural, I'm born quite different than most psychics, and then being built by a pharmaceuticals company, I'm really different in my supernatural abilities. So when you feel someone's energy, I can hear their thoughts, I can feel and hear their feelings, and then I hear what I used to call the God voice as a kid, because I just didn't know what to call that voice that was talking to me out of somebody, and it later turned out to be the soul, or what people call the spirit, the higher self, the ruach, whatever you want to label it. So, when you feel that and that connection energetically with maybe somebody in the supermarket line or a restaurant that you're sitting in having a cordial or, a salad or whatever, you can communicate with them, and you start out softly. You know, we've learned through our own awakening, we can't just shove things down people's throats. Like, and no disrespect to Jehovah's Witness, but we can't just do the knock on the door and throw, you know, Jehovah down somebody's throat, right?
Right.
So we learn about the person we're talking to. We know that they are open to it. We find out what their desires are, what they wish they could have been. You know, what job are they in now that they wish they, you know, maybe they never pursued their art or music. And when you find out, you know, details about someone first, that leaves you opportunity to talk about these, and I hate the word conspiracy. I'm talking about truth theorises. These are truth theorises. Then you can open up dialogue. Maybe some architect, you know, loves numbers and shapes and symbols, you know. Then, you know, you realize, oh, he's, you know, a shoe salesman that wished he was in architecture. You can start talking about, you know, maybe a YouTube movie called Secrets in Plain Sight and teach them about numbers and symbolism and ley lines and architecture, you know. So there's ways to talk to people to help them awaken. But I really wish awakened people had foundations to them, because it will shatter you. It will shatter you to a hopelessness if you don't know where to go with that information.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's individual based, you know, like you just can't force things on people. If you keep that as your rule, like don't force things, then literally everything works fine. That's how the tiniest of emotional sort of stirrings inside of somebody, when offense has been taken, that's how it starts, and then it ends in war, you know. Like, that's how I see it. I see the beginning to the end in the slightest of sort of stirring in somebody. And if you're attentive to that as somebody who's awake, then you'll be able to play with that energy and reshape it and reform it so it doesn't go into that tendency towards violence, because that's what the entrainment systems have always done. They've tended toward violence, and they've put all the correct instigators and things inside of the personal makeup, because the computers read you, they know you, they do this and that, and it's very easy to know what triggers. And it doesn't have to have anything to do with logic whatsoever at all.
No.
And they can go flying off down the thing, and they have no clue why, or they just feel it feels correct because the feelings are being manipulated.
We also have to admit, we've all been brain mapped. We've all had neurolinguistic programming. We've all been uploaded to a singularity. It doesn't mean that the 7 Hermetic laws aren't still in place to use for yourself there. You know, yes, we can stumble a little bit here and there. You know, we know when we're dealing with a person that you just can't reason with, and they may tip you over the edge, but you know, all right, you know, I'm going to walk away. There's just destructive energy here, and you can use the destructive energy to be the energy master and transmute the energy, right, to make it work for you instead of against you, and even leave the person covered with that beautiful transmuted energy, whether they accept it or not. You know, it's sort of like a medium who says, oh, I've got this dead lost spirit, I'm going to cross them over to God. What gives us the right to force awakening on someone? What gives that medium the right to cross someone over into a place they have no comprehension over? And I've died 5 times and still don't have comprehension over the afterlife. I was a medium. I did all that stuff, you know, thinking I was doing good, crossing people to the light or through the tunnel, and how dare I? So how dare we force awakening upon someone? When a person's ready to awaken, they will manifest in your life.
They'll come to you.
They will.
And that happened, you know, recently with me in a personal situation, and I dealt with it how I needed to, and then let it go at that. Like, you can't. People get all excited when they find what they think is knowledge or
The
truth
truth.
or whatever. They get excited about it, and then they think they're going to go give it to the masses, and it can't work that way. Never has worked that way. If anything, that gets co-opted the second you yell your first couple words from the loudspeaker, like Alex Jones or whatever. You know, anybody who's just like yelling stuff out, like, it's co-opted the second you start yelling.
It's loosh.
Yeah.
More loosh.
Yeah, exactly.
We want to transmute the loosh. We want to be masters at energy. This internal, external, and machine energy. You know, we want to learn that mastery foundation. And there's simplicity to foundational work. In alchemy, or whatever you want to call it, transformation, ascension, just growth in yourself, you know, maturing, whatever label you want to give that. There's simple foundational things to do, but can you be disciplined enough to do it? Right? And then there's some, you know, like what I did this last year and a half with the insomnia. I mean, I literally, like, I got to the point I was hallucinating, and, you know, like, I just was not right. I mean, it just got so damn dark.
Mm-hmm.
I was just so immersed in the darkness. I let it be, though, and I would never, ever, ever recommend that to anyone. There are very few people who will go that route just because they are so tired of not being able to see these hidden implants or hidden, you know, what do you want to call them? Almost claws, like a little psychic claw in you.
The Santa Claus, right?
Or a tentacle or whatever. A root thing. And I purposefully let it get bad. And, you know, unfortunately, it was self-destructive. You know, it harmed another person, unfortunately, even though, you know, I'm not even going to make excuses. It harmed another person that had been harming me for a long time. And it was a terrible way to do it, but I knew I had to do it that way. Yeah. And I died 3 times through the process to bring me out, to change so many things, including adding to my foundation. So I added like these 2 things to my foundations that put it on steroids. And once I started implementing it, healing started to really be much faster. Not a quick fix pill kind of thing like these people are selling you all over YouTube, you know, with abuse healing or quantum freedom techniques or RTT or any of that. It's not quick fix, but it is much quicker fix than what we've been taught even. So, you know, it's discipline, Gary. It's really about being disciplined. And then on the days that you need to, you know, go back into the root, you go back in bravery, like a fearless warrior, and you face, you know, that demon until that demon is crushed, you know, or pitied so bad or nurtured so much that it just is disintegrated into something beautiful with the energy mastery. And,
yeah, it can be, it can be done with everything. Like, I had my days, you know, I did my own, like, intentional plunge into the dark night when nothing else was working, and I was like, well, I guess I'll just go find out what this is. Like, I did that with the devil energy, or at least how I perceived of it, and I was like, I'm just gonna go, I'm gonna see how long it can last, you know, in this thing. And I it was evening, and I lasted for I was in there for a couple hours, and at some point it was too much. Like, I couldn't do it anymore. Whatever energy I was contemplating or being with, it was too much, and I had to come out of it. But it still was like, that was an important lesson for me, that there are energies that even those of us who have been doing this forever, you know, we're used to challenging things and getting into them, but there are energies that literally will just tear you apart if you give them permission. You know?
Yes. Yeah. And I did that. I would never recommend it. I know others in my community who have done it, there's a good majority of us that have been institutionalized through something like that, or in our past dark nights of the soul. We've questioned ourselves through it. But when you've been through a dark night a few times, and then this healing through a darkness is a totally different thing than dark night of the soul. It is really like you are taking it on.
Yeah,
and
right.
It will bring you to your knees. It will crush you, and it feels so painful, it's got to be done in an isolation. And thank God most of mine was done in an isolation, except for a couple month period, that somebody else was involved whom I loved dearly. But it made me see the illusions of that karmic love and cycle that I kept finding myself in romantic relationships. So, never recommend it. You don't want to end up dying 3 times, but in a really cool thing, I have to say that I was a really physically sickly woman. I had healed for a few years on the circuit when I was doing, interviews and TV and stuff, and feeling real good, but I had gotten really sick again, with the Lyme disease and this disease in my arm called reflex sympathetic nerve disorder, where your brain can't shut off pain from nerve damage. So my first near-death experience put me in a 5-day coma that cured my RSD. I had been, asking Divine to help, cure this pain.
What's
I couldn't
RSD?
afford the cure in Germany, which was to be set in a coma, for 3 to 5 days. So it cured me.
Okay.
The second 2 near-death experiences pumped me full of 90 pounds of liquid antibiotics directly to my heart, and with proteins and creatinine and minerals and all this stuff my body was missing from the Lyme depletion, from these seizures over and over. And I had been fighting for a PICC line in my heart for over 12 years. So I no longer exhibit Lyme disease. So these 3 death experiences cured me. There is glory coming out of darkness, but your heart's will has to be so strong, and your brain has to know, like, no matter how strong your heart's will is, you are gonna get freaking crushed, person, girl, guy. You are going to get demolished. So you have to be prepared if you're going to go the route that I went, or some of my other colleagues went, who ended up in institutions, or suicide attempts, or death experiences, or, facing real demons, real demons and black magic. And, it's not for everybody. And if I had a choice to do it again, I wouldn't. I so wouldn't. It was painful. The most difficult year of my entire life. And I've survived, sexual and SRA trauma. It was the most healing I've ever achieved.
Yeah, and it's almost like, I've had many situations where, and not situations, my sort of work is on the mental level or the deep etheric levels, but I've had many situations where I went into these things, almost even I didn't have a choice, but I went into them, and you just have to accept that, like, the worst of the worst can and will happen to you, like, mentally.
Yes.
And then also almost welcome it, like, and it's never as bad as your projections are. It's never that bad. Your projections they're always like the worst possible. But doing that basically frees up you from your own self, because you're like, well, whatever happens is going to happen,
You find you're dueling with yourself. I even found myself on my knees, like, begging to go home, back to being a star in the sky again, It was just, I knew I knew it was going to crush me mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I knew it was going to rip holes all over my aura, blow me apart. And I honestly did not know when it was going to be over. I really did not know when it was going to be over.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, it like takes my breath away when I look back at it, because I'm really happy. I'm thankful. Like, I'm literally thanking these demons. I'm thanking, these people, the experiences, the death. I've been thanking even my own projections for showing me it was conditioned stuff. It was me fighting myself. I mean, I'm just so thankful. I will tell you, though, if a person is meant to, if they stop their awakening and they're just like, okay, I'm just going to stop it and go pretend on and, maybe go start another life somewhere, move away and pretend it all away. I'll tell you what, the universe steps in. Remember, I talked about astrology being part of the makeup of your physiological body.
Yeah.
You will not get away from the universe.
Nope.
The universe will make you awake any way it wants to, especially when you fight it.
Yep.
And that's when it really screws you up and hurts you and gives you such bad luck, bad things over and over and over, until you are on your knees, like finally realizing, oh shit, it's me. I gotta fix this stuff in me, man. I'm blaming everything around me. I'm blaming people I once loved. I'm blaming, I'm a victim. I'm a martyr. It's me, man. The universe will strike you. And karma is a bitch and dharma is a goddess. So, that's the way I've looked at it,
Yeah.
I need to go through some karmic bitches to get my goddess dharma. And and I'm not saying it's fluent right now. It's manifesting, it's flowing. There are nips in the way, tidbits in the way, retrying to see if I've healed through, or trying to help me master other things that aren't quite perfected, or may not be perfected for a while. It's showing me. But the manifestation has been so amazing, because the third near-death experience brought me to add these two things to my foundations that have really, like, I explained it on Truth Frequency Radio in November, that it feels like it's on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
So even with the year of healing through the darkness, I wouldn't clean my energy. Wasn't disciplined in any of my foundation. I purposefully chose not to do that.
Yeah.
Don't ever do that, folks. Don't do it. At least clean through it. That was the biggest mistake I'd made. That was the biggest mistake, especially in a hallucinatory insomnia, since July 6, 2017, where I went wrong. I did not stay disciplined in certain things, and even if I took a few weeks off, I should have still cleaned my energy here and there. I purposefully chose not to, and that was a boo-boo, a wrong move.
I think we do that sometimes, though. I mean, I've done that thing where it's like, I've told this story before, but I bought this book one time that the title was How I Became Stupid, and it was this guy that he was trying to fix all the problems in the world, and he didn't really connect them with himself, but he was failing on all levels in fixing the world's problems. So he's like, well, fuck this. Like, I'm going to go join the problems instead. So he went and tried to become a professional drinker, and he tried to become like a meth head. But not only doing these things intentionally, he was also wanting tips and stuff. So he would go to, the most successfully alcoholic person in the town, and he would say, like, teach me your magic, And he would sit, and the guy would like he would set up, 9 different shots on the counter, and he'd be like, all right, well, you're an apprentice now. And so he watched how the guy was drinking and how, he mitigated the negative effects from the alcohol and whatnot. And he started trying to do it, and he failed. Like, the alcoholic was laughing at him for his sort of noviceness with the thing.
His initiation?
Yeah, with his initiation. Like, he was laughing at him because he was not even taking that seriously. He wasn't even taking, like, his dive into the dark side seriously. And the dark side is going to spank you, too, like, if you don't respect it, right? So he went through that whole thing, and he tried all these things, and he ended up actually making a lot of money and stuff, but his friends that were kind of watching the whole thing from the periphery, he was taken away from them due to all of this dive into the darkness, and eventually they came and, like, saved him. They pulled him back from where he was going, and then he realized that the problem wasn't with the world in the first place, and it was always with himself, and then he sort of healed himself near the end of the story. But it was very interesting because I adapted that in my own life, and I myself became an alcoholic, and I went to AA, and I got addicted to this and that, or maybe not addicted, but I tried to. And so I still play with that energy, but you can any thought stance that you take up, you can go do. You can dive into it, and it's not going to be like a play thing. It's going to be an actual thing.
It reminds me of that movie. Didn't Michael Moore or somebody do something on eating junk food and supersize?
Yeah.
Supersize.
Yep.
Now he really wanted, I think he took it on seriously, but he really didn't realize the destruction of facing those demons would do and wreck and ravage his body, and ruin his psyche and emotional balance. And thank God he had a support system around me. Now, I went into this year of darkness because I wanted the support system around me that wasn't healthy gone. I wanted everything unhealthy and toxic out of me. And it really did it. I mean, it really did it. A lot of grieving through some of this loss, but it was based on conditioned I'd learned as a kid, as a toddler, abused toddler. So it really did some really immense, deep layer removal. And not that I didn't have support. I have great, beautiful, supportive friends who really carried me through on my most broken moments. Mm-hmm. But I became so defensive and such a tough ass. I wouldn't ask for help. It'd be like, I could figure this out. I'm smart, I'm strong. I teach people how to do this. I don't need to ask for help. Yeah. It taught me how to ask for help. So when I have real rough moments, I would reach out on Facebook and say, hey folks, I need help. Mm-hmm. Can you, say something nice to me? Can you encourage me? Can you send me love? Can you send me, encouragement? I had never done that before, ever. And I want to cry. I so want to cry. It brought so many more beautiful people to me as these toxic people left. And the way these toxic people left me were really brutal. I mean, that was something that was really, really brutal, how these toxic people left. But I also realized it was the conditioned, injured, tiny JoJo in the corner cowering after, being smacked and sent to her room, trying to tell her mom something, please believe me, I'm right, you're telling me I'm wrong, and I'm telling you I'm right here, I was raped, it was Mr. Carr, I don't want to say the name, so it brought me back to that. But the way the toxic people left my life was so tumultuously cold, cruel, and painful. It was like the universe was saying, hey, JoJo, you wanted all of this gone. We're just going to, make sure that you want this gone. So it's going to be one more, big, perfect storm for you. and we're going to just make sure you got the lesson learned, girl.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm dealing with now. You know, God loved the person. I mean, I have immense love for my mother and my mother. I have immense love for the person I'm speaking in reference to. I have immense pity for both of them, immense, respect and gratitude for what I've been brought to from them. I have gratefulness for the love that I did get in pieces. I have immense love and gratitude for the pain that I went through. And just it just puts you in this whole different transformation. So, I thought I was a mofo queen, that took me down to the depths of meeting the devil face on again and again and again and again. And, it's brought me to this high priestess level, and now back to the queen again, in the tarot deck. So, new things have been birthing, and I'm just living life like you are, kind of like in that Tao, the Tao in the now.
Yep.
It even it transforms you even astrologically in so many ways, because your traits as your Western sun sign are so easy to work with and change, but your Vedic sign is really what you are supposed to be in the world. And I'm covered in goosebumps saying this because my Virgo Western just wasn't working, and it all went back to that root stuff that I want to teach people about, and really, show them your Vedic is your true soul's you. And even how to work with those things, because no matter what you are in either Western or Vedic, they're all mutable luminaries. They're all mutable constellations that move around, right, and change and shadow and go direct and retrograde and move forward. And, so can you. So can you.
Right. Yeah, everybody gets entrained in 2 seconds if you haven't figured out what the thing is. But like what we were talking about a couple minutes ago when you were saying how you posted on Facebook when you needed help, I've actually noticed that as sort of a trend, because before I did anything at all in the public arena, which started about 2 years ago, almost exactly 2 years ago, I'd never seen it. I had never seen like a public forum where someone just said, hey, like, I'm struggling and can I have some support, Never seen it. And I've seen that happening multiple times on Facebook with the sort of new group of people that have come around from me doing my channel, because they come and follow me on Facebook as well. I see here and there someone will say like, I'm just like fucked up, help me, and then they'll get 100 comments, and that just blew my mind. Like I'd never even known that was a possibility before.
Well, that actually gives you the strength in your heart's will, which is the center of what I teach as the infinite highway. It's like this figure 8 pattern of your soul, between your soul, your heart, and your third eye seat of the soul. But honestly, I've seen victims cry out for help since the MySpace days, when my little 10-year-old made me an account. And, if it weren't for that, I would never have been a renowned psychic. And, MTV offers and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I've been seeing people reach out for help, but not asking direct. I would just see broken people talking about their broken lives. And as an empath and the type of soul psychic I am, I knew they were asking for help, just not in words. They were just expressing what they were going through.
Right.
But what you're seeing right now, and I'm glad you brought it up, we have been seeing tumultuous astro stuff since 2012, right? And there's this big storm coming at the end of 2018. The ones who have really been seriously working, like inner standing, working alchemy through these 7 universal Hermetic laws that you cannot deny at all.
Can you speak those out? Because I've heard them, but I forget what they are.
Yes. First is as above, as below. It's basically mentalism. Everything is all mind. Actually, I think that it's written as all is mind.
Mm.
As above, so below. And what you create in your mind is what happens all around you, dimensionally, cosmos, and in your exterior world, as well as your interior world.
Mm-hmm.
Or excuse me, that's not the as above, so below. All is mind is the first. Correspondence is the second. As above, so below. So sorry, Guy. It just gets confusing with all this knowledge.
Yeah. That's all good.
The third is vibration. Frequency, vibration. The fourth is polarity, which has a lot to do with magnetism. The fifth is rhythm, the rhythm. The sixth is the cause and effect. And the seventh is gender. Now, mind you, this is all based on positive and negative, but in the middle of positive and negative is something called the fulcrum, the neutral, the 0 point.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to be able to bring yourself to the fulcrum in all of those, and then use either the positive or the negative. And again, I'm going to go back to physiology, because your body is made of this stuff called tachyon. It's an energetic force in you that is all of those laws combined. Tachyon is a destructive force that goes to a 0 point to create. Now, destruction can be a really positive thing. You want to destroy old patterns. You want to destroy toxicity in you. You want to destroy thought patterns. Bring it to 0 point so they can create. But you can also do it on the opposing end, just like magic, white or black magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Electricity, positive or negative. You can also destroy your goodness and create negative things around you. And that kind of has to be explained, because targeted individuals, for instance, they're not asking to create bad things around them.
Mm-hmm.
But and you can get into victimhood really easily, especially with the NLP or some, mind mapping and gang stalking. You get so beaten down, you forget that you have this power to destroy, to create. You
Right.
can use that destruction to your advantage. You can plug in a light and get a beautiful glowing light, but you can plug in a light and get electrocuted too, right? So you can also decide not to plug in the light. So there's a positive and negative and a neutrality to it. You want to bring everything to a fulcrum state, especially in your mind and emotions. And please let me reiterate again to your audience, no matter how much we all work on this, Gary, we will falter.
Mm-hmm.
But we can pick ourselves up a whole lot faster now and say, oh shit, I faltered. All right, let me get refulcrumized.
Yeah.
Let me get stabilized here. It's different than balance. Balance is the balancing of positive and negative. The fulcrum is a 0 point. It's kind of like trusting the Tao.
Right.
The Tao of the void before nothing came. Before anything came, the void existed, the Tao.
Yep.
It's staying in the book, A New Earth, being in the now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fulcrum state of nothingness, 0 point before the destruction or the creation happens.
Right.
It's
and that's always available to everybody. Always, and it's always optional.
And the universe runs on tachyon.
It's always optional.
If you watch an old Star Trek episode, they'll talk about engage the tachyon system now. And it's a power source that you're made of. The cosmos is made of that runs, these fantastic technologies that we're not told about but exist.
Yeah.
This is beyond Tesla stuff. This is Tesla based, Wilhelm Reich based, Walter Russell based, and deeper and deeper, because we're talking about ancient, whatever you want to call them, astronauts, Anunnaki, aliens, technology combined with our technology. So, you know, it's tachyon based cosmos technology, and what your body has, you know, creates this torus field in your body.
Yeah, it's it's
Melts
it's
the
a
torus field.
it's a like a conflagration of all of the forces that you have ever heard about or even imagined. If you combine all those together and then stay present, then you actually have at your use all of them. You have the AI, you have the quantum, you have your normal human organic mental, you have the projection system.
Yeah.
You can move your body anywhere you want to. You can actually do anything, and you have all of it at your disposal. That's a scary thing for a lot of people to realize, but you have all of it. It's up and down the levels. It's not like, oh, the high technology is coming a billion years in the future or something like that. No, everything is here now.
Yeah. I've witnessed it as a child, you know, on Plum Island, Montauk. I mean, and at the Atticus Institute. So, um, I'm telling you, you know, there are things that we can also do. So I've been trying to write this damn book for probably 3 years now, since I've been interviewing, I don't know, back in 15, I think I started telling my story and stuff. But I've been teaching since, you know, the MySpace days. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, there are, you know, we're dealing with targeted individuals, we're dealing with project survivors, we're dealing with MyLabs, monarch sex slaves, satanic ritual abuse victims, narcissistic abuse victims, just all types of newly awakened, all of these, you know, topics we've even discussed, Borgs and demons. And there are ways that are very cheap, free, and easy to also get through some of this
Mm-hmm.
warfare on us. And that's what I like to teach folks too. It could be as simple as using water, but using it the right way. Could
Mm.
be simple as singing tones, just frequency tones. You know,
Or
you
even
can
even
learn
like
the
music,
energy system. I
even
mean, it's
music.
just the simple, free things
Yeah,
to help. You could buy at a dollar store.
yeah. It's all simpler than because like I don't know. I guess the old mind that wants to control a lot of things wants to like set up this plan that has a specific outcome. And it's not like that. It's like it's the 0 point you're talking about. You have to operate from that point. And
But
then
also, like, if you're laden with Morgellon, there's baths you can do. There's internal remedies you can do that you can buy, you know, for $1
mm,
and ingest. It doesn't, and even the fallacy of, you know, eating organic or being this type of diet is too expensive. It's a lie. I've developed free, cheap, or inexpensive ways to get the Morgellon out of you using these baths, to eradicate chemtrails from a sky using a tone you can sing and literally watch it evaporate.
mm,
You know, diet I think if people really ate clean food, some of it, yes, is expensive, but when they start eating clean food, and I'm not talking vegan diets either, because you know, there's just pros and cons to whether it's a keto diet, a vegan diet, you know, organic diet. Once you're on a clean food diet, you save so much money because you're not craving the carbs, you're not craving the sweets, you're not craving the GMO junk, you
mm-hmm.
know, Soylent Green soda. This is, you know,
Uh-huh.
it is really, we've been taught lies that eating organic is too expensive. You know, I go to a
Yeah.
farmer's market, I buy cheaper tomatoes there than I do at a grocery store. And when I eat clean, I'm literally eating once a day. I'm
Yeah.
not craving. And also, I don't have, like, you know, when people are unfulfilled or unhappy, you know, maybe they'll go chase hobbies, or they'll overeat, or, you know, they'll use some kind of drugs. Um, Eating clean starts to get all of that stuff out of you, but it doesn't help you awaken either. So we have to
Right.
be like really careful. Just because you're eating better doesn't mean you're going to awaken. It doesn't mean you're going to change your behaviors or your non-constructive shit inside of you. So I just really want to be like very thorough with people. And I've developed what I believe is a fairly simple system as long as you are devoted to it. And if you know that you're made of energy and magnetics, if you know that you are composed of energy and magnetics more than you are flesh and bone, because when your body dies, you know, your your bones even disintegrate to a degree. Nothing's left of your organs, muscles, tissues, blood, you know, even your hair is just barely hair and bones left. When you finally come to the conclusion you are made of tachyonized energy and magnetics, you really want to have a serious, disciplined life style that you are going to clean your energy every day, just like you shower and brush your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 5 simple things that you could choose from at any given time to clean your energy.
I think we're coming up toward the end of it here, so I would like to wrap it up. And also, if you want to send me links to any of your like your method or any website you'd like or YouTube channel, anything, if you have links.
My website got attacked by a very vicious woman who bought all my domains up on every.net and .com service for 4 years. So I have an inactive website since 2008.
Mm-hmm.
I go word of mouth by Facebook, Jolene JoJo Seebacher. I also have a professional page, Solutions, SOUL, Solutions at Spiritual Life Journeys. I am not teaching right now. I need to end a karmic situation in my own personal life. And what I'm just doing right now are psychic soul readings, which I usually only offer once a year, if that. And that's all I'm doing right now. When I decide to do classes again, you know, and everything will be announced, but that would be the way to contact me. Private message me, ask for a session, and then I can give dates of when those sessions will start. And if anybody wants to learn about my sessions, go on Divine Truth with Tajinder Gill, and you can learn what an assessment session is, or go on Altered View with Dara Shawn on YouTube, and you can learn about my 5 foundations.
Okay, your Solutions, is it the one that has like the globe spinning on the left? And it says we can change the world?
It should have like a Merkaba surrounded in gold. I had to deactivate it. It might not be activated again because just some real nasty stuff that was going on with a toxic person that I don't want to get into it, but I've been under attack by a family, you know, making false accusations. So I just shut the page down. I'll open it back up today, Gary.
So maybe just through Facebook would be the most convenient way for people?
The most appropriate way, and that's been the way that people have contacted me since, you know, 2008.
And you have, is your friends list maxed out, or people can add you still?
I think I have like 300 spaces left, but that has to be cleaned out too because there's been some snakes in the grass there from some of these toxic relationships ending. So they have to be weeded out. And I will have plenty of room for beautiful new friendships and welcome you all into, you know, sharing friendships and support and encouragement with everybody.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I won't share links then. People can find you how they find you, and thank you. This was really good.
Oh, thank you so much, Gary. It was really fun meeting you. I hope we can talk again.
Yeah, we'll do it again, for sure, at some point.
All right, brother.
Thank you,
you have
JoJo.
a beautiful every day, and a beautiful every day to your listening audience. And thank you again for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you.
All right, take care, Gary.
All right, you too.
All right, so long.
Bye.